Hey.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey everybody.
Moving. I mean, you have around, man. I'm super.
Okay, so nice to see everyone.
Video, go down to the video.
Dude, not in the photo. Yeah, we should always be quiet. No one knows.
You guys are doing great. Yeah, Jason, ready? Okay, here we go. Okay, so nice to see everyone. Welcome to the virtual Shabbos table and this week's edition of Around Our Shabbos Table. So wonderful to see everybody. So wonderful to have conversation, learning, to be inspired together, have some good time. Obviously, as we like to say at the beginning of each evening together of learning, and this special time is that our Shabbos table, enjoy, l'chaim. Our Shabbos table is yearning for you and misses you, and we look forward to when we're going to be able to be together, not virtually, but physically and together. But nonetheless, this does give us a wonderful opportunity to be in each other's company, albeit virtual. So wonderful to see everybody. Let's begin tonight, first and foremost, by expressing our gratitude and thanks to tonight's sponsor, Sherry Feldman Rosen, sponsored tonight's Around Our Shabbos table in commemoration of the yahrzeit of her beloved mother, Ruth Weinberg Feldman. Her neshama should have an aliyah. Thank you so very much for your generosity. It's your generosity that allows us to continue to make these wonderful programs and continue to bring our community together through learning and events like that. So thank you very much, and aliyah's neshama. I hope everybody's safe. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody had a wonderful week. Getting ready for Shabbos, Parshas Noach, the second Parsha in Sefer Bereshis, of a jam-packed Parsha and a wonderful evening of conversation. And so without further ado, our host tonight, our hostess with the mostess.
Okay.
The Rebbetzin.
Okay.
Jen, take it away.
Hello, everybody.
That looked a little unplanned.
Well, we were debating who's gonna host tonight, but I'm gonna host. So happy to have everybody. We miss you all, and excited to see some faces. So, I read an article in a magazine, in a Jewish magazine that I like to read, and there was an article called Noodle Mom. And did you read it?
Noodle Mom?
Noodle Mom. Yes, Noodle Mom.
Noodle Man. Like, hey, man?
Yeah, maybe Shimshi will host another time.
And by the way, comments, questions, participation, which is very much welcome. Like Uri, thank you so much for sharing and starting blazing that path. Please add chat questions and comments into the chat box. Or if you want to chat me privately, please do so. We want everyone to be part of it and share. This is not really meant to be a monologue, but yes, a dialogue. We're gonna open it up to everybody tonight. So be on your toes.
I'm gonna share two there. So
Jerry, I can't hear you.
Okay, so she was describing two types of moms in this article.
Noodle mom.
There was a noodle mom.
Noodle mom.
And there was a chicken mom.
Chicken mom.
And the noodle mom is the mom that can't get her kids to eat anything else but noodles. And every single night it's noodles, noodles, noodles. And the chicken mom is the mom who, it could be chicken or meat or fish. She's the mom who, like, you know, every night's making something else and breading those chicken cutlets and running out to get more meat. And as her family grows, she's spending more money on the meat. And the noodle mom is like, at first she's feeling like tons of guilt that all she makes is noodles. And it describes that she needs a lot of validation. And the chicken mom doesn't need validation, but she needs a break because she's exhausted from all these fine dinners that she's making. Until then the article changes, like it was equal in the beginning, but then the noodle mom notices the chicken mom in the grocery store. And since her family is growing, now she's buying like several packages of meat and several packages of chicken. And she's like, you know what? Another box of noodles as my family grows doesn't really hurt that much. And she's starting to feel a little bit better about herself. And when she offers to make her kids chicken and they're like, no, just stay home with us and just make noodles and we have you more to ourselves. By the end of the article, it was making the noodle mom like this hero that she's just going to spend the time with her kids and serve noodles every single night for dinner.
Okay.
So, and while she's doing that and playing with her kids, the chicken mom is still breading chicken. Okay. So I had a couple problems with this article because I find myself in a third category. And the third category is I'm like a chicken mom. I don't even know what to call it. I'm like a chicken mom, a chicken noodle mom, which means that I make like a healthy chicken for the family, those of us that want to have variety, you know, and then I make the breaded chicken for the noodle kids. So I'm like,
So we're going crazy over here. We're just going nuts.
So I definitely need a break, but I'm making chicken cutlets for the kids who eat noodles because I don't want to feed them noodles. Hi, Khan. So lots of breading chicken, and the article made me feel like I'm just going to be ignoring my children and breading chicken for the rest of my life, which I don't do, by the way. Right, Khan?
Right.
Okay. So that was the first reason why.
Am I not here?
Hi, Mommy.
You're here.
I'm on video.
I'm shocked that you're on. Hi, I can't believe you're together. This is my mother and this is my daughter, everybody. And I'll tell you that when I grew up, I had a chicken mom and a lamb mom and a fresh homemade blintzes mom. And I didn't appreciate it at the time. And the lamb I kind of put on my little sister's plate because I wasn't a lamb person, but she made lamb for us. She made lamb. Anyway, and she tried to make all different types of things for us to taste and to try and to be healthy. So that was my first issue. Just wondering why I'm in my own little world. And the second issue I had is going to connect to the Parsha.
Amazing. Noodles and mubbles.
The second issue I had, and we can discuss this together, but I feel like Noodle Mom came out looking like this hero. And I'm not saying that once in a while when I need a break, I don't make noodles or I don't buy a pizza. I know how to give myself a break, right? So I feel like we live in a world where we are trying to make hard work and determination, and I'm going to keep trying until I find something healthy that everybody likes, is almost looked down upon. And it reminds me of this week's Parsha.
Wow. It's amazing how that happens, right?
Because
everything just reminds us of this week's Parsha. It sound like you're...
I'm trying to remember. Okay. So how does it connect with this week's Parsha? And I'm not sure what the question that you're dealing with today is, so maybe it will be somewhat of an answer. So we have Noah, who is for sure a tzaddik, that he's the only tzaddik mentioned in the Torah, but we also know that he was all alone and he was not able to influence anyone around him. And everyone, he kind of like fended for himself and just did what was good for himself and blocked out the rest of the world, and the rest of the world did the same. And there is, what to be said about that. And there is something about, there's a difference between being righteous, which we for sure know that he was, and being a leader. And I think that as Jews, we have to be both. We have to be righteous, and we also have to affect the people around us. And so it's not enough to just, do what you do and not care about what everybody else thinks. You have to not only try to affect others positively, but you also are allowed to, say that there is something called a healthier dinner and something called a less healthier dinner. And it's okay to say that, you might need to work hard on sometimes to be creative and find things. And we don't have to make everybody sound like they're perfect. No matter what they do is good, Right. So I think that we're scared to push ourselves so far because everyone gives, I feel like we live in a time that we're just giving excuses and anything goes. Whatever you do, it works, it's great. And I'm not saying that there's not room for that. I think that everyone has to know themselves, and everyone has to know when they have to stop pushing themselves. But I think that we shouldn't be scared to work hard.
We shouldn't be scared to work hard.
And we shouldn't be scared to leave an impact. And we shouldn't be scared to, to push ourselves past just mediocre.
I love that.
What do you say? Noodles or chicken? Can we unmute?
Let's start with Jerry and Shelley. You are in the
We're chicken people. I'm sorry.
Two chickens in a pot.
Yeah, we're chicken people. We're like super.
Two lambs.
But you know what? With my granddaughter, I'm going to be a little bit more of a chicken noodle person.
Other thing, you give them what they want.
What's that?
I think grandkids is a totally different thing. Grandparents have to just give their grandkids what they want.
That's right.
Parents.
That's what I'll be. Their parents I've already damaged. You know, I told them they're already damaged. So just get over it. Move on.
As you look at your kids, which one is a chicken kid and which one is the noodle kid?
No, I don't have any noodle kids. My kids are chicken kids. Where's the lamb chops? Where's the rib steak? They want it all.
We only eat eggs in our family. No chickens and no noodles, just lots and lots and lots of eggs.
Okay, Linda, what does Linda have to say?
Linda, by the way, is my Talmud Muvak. You know the Talmud Muvak? Prized disciple. Listens scrupulous lectures, asks me brilliant questions, and keeps me on my proverbial and actual toes. So Linda, go easy on your rabbi tonight.
I think dinner time should be family time, and it's not a restaurant. A mother decides what's going to be for dinner and she makes it. I always made, and if there was something there that they didn't like, the next night I made sure that the kid who didn't like it got something he liked. But what's this business of making special meals for everybody? Yeah, it's a bad habit to get into. And we know who only eats chicken in your house without bones. And we know.
She's got to work on it. It's not easy. I'm working on her, Linda.
No, it's a family. When you sit down and you have the ability to have a family dinner, I don't think everybody should have something different.
100%.
You know, and
We agree, Linda.
And if everybody is unhappy, somebody's unhappy one night, oh, well, you won't get the 5-star rating.
Linda and Rachel, do you believe that, let's just say you don't have a 5-star rating, but if you don't like the dinner, can you have a backup dinner? Let's just call it like a cereal and milk or like toast.
No, not necessary. You can always find something on the table to eat.
Okay. Wait a second. Cereal was the backup dinner?
No.
No backup dinner.
Cereal was the dinner. The backup dinner was kakash cake. Let's be honest here.
I'm coming to you guys for dinner.
Now you know what's flying in the Udowitz house.
I love it. Gibber kids, you got some big changes on the horizon, guys. Big.
Doing something wrong.
That kakash cake from the Grove Kosher Market is like really oozing chocolate and really would be for me
All we know is our kids do not skip meals. That's what we know. They're very healthy. They enjoy eating whatever you put in front of them. So why shouldn't it be kakash cake?
But does everybody get something different if they want?
No way.
Okay, that's what I mean.
Linda, I grew up with my mother saying the same thing. I don't want a restaurant.
And you know what? You survived, and so did your children. Amazing, huh?
Not true.
Linda, whatever you make for them, they're gonna eat. They're gonna enjoy it. Whatever you put in front of them,
they don't have to enjoy it. But the next night, I always tried to make something that I knew that made them happy.
So what's for dinner tomorrow night?
Oh, here, you know, it's like I've got no one to cook for, so it's a.
I'm offering 6 people for you.
But they got my way.
I'm just nervous that if I say this, like we're gonna get a package from Amazon in our driveway. This is Linda's dinner that was delivered for you.
We're all gonna get packages from Amazon.
He's making it very clear he does not want Amazon. He wants homemade food.
I'm not that picky.
His mom was a Linda mom. You get what you get and you don't get upset.
That's right.
That's it, you know, and my kids are all good eaters today, and they all have a variety of tastes, and they're adventurous, and you know, and they all survived, you know. Linda, and their children, my oldest son, his children are that way.
Linda, did Did you ever have an incident at the candy line where somebody was given a candy and they just like, they weren't happy with what they got and they had to?
Yeah,
negotiate with
yeah.
you?
And I tell them you get what you get.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. Or you don't take it.
It's funny because there was a restaurant in Brooklyn that we used to go. I forgot the name of it. There was a restaurant that was like, you go to certain restaurants, they're either milchiks or they're fleishiks, or there's certain types of milchiks. So there was a restaurant in Brooklyn. I forget the
Garden of Eden?
Garden of Eden. Yes.
Wow.
The gal is thinking about Brooklyn restaurants.
I don't think it's actually open
It
anymore.
was like the restaurant that had everything on the menu. You could have everything from anything, right? You could have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Like that's what it was, that type of restaurant. And it's almost like overwhelming. You don't know what to do. Should I order everything?
That's why they're not open anymore.
Yeah. It was really good.
It's interesting because today everybody wants their autonomy to choose whatever they want. Everybody wants everything. You want the menu to be filled. It's not just with food. It's not just for dinner. It's with medicinals. It's with automobiles. It's with personal pleasures. It's with anything and everything. We don't want to be limited. The second you feel limited, you feel like you're being put into a box. You're being able to dictate to somebody's dictating to you what you should have. We don't like that. But there's a certain amount of what's overwhelming. Like too much choice, is also not necessarily a good thing. Choosing and being, the ability to choose is what we call bechira. We have bechiras chavshis. We have free will, and of course that's essential to who we are and what we're made up of. And ultimately, I guess it's also part of just even understanding the difference between. And I think that disparaging. Okay. And I think the difference between, different biblical characters, biblical personalities who really kind of, you think about the choices and the decisions and the discernments and all of those things that go into that. It's extraordinary because when you have so much autonomy that you desire, the freedom that you want, hundreds of years, 210 years of bondage and slavery in Egypt, and then you have your freedom. Like, what do you do with your freedom? Right? Chazal tell us, a person is not considered free unless one is studying, a student, a disciple of the Torah. So too much choice isn't necessarily a good thing. But second choice, if your second choice is cookish cake, I guess that you're in a good place. So tell us.
So how would you feel if I served cereal for dinner one night?
How would I feel if you
Do it.
Wow, I love the egging on, Ari. I thought we were close pals. I'm not really sure what happened here.
Barbara said that she grew up with a mother who made at least 2 different dinners and many times 3. They don't make moms like that anymore. So there you go. There's a mom who made 3 dinners.
The only thing that they got was when it was their birthday, they could choose anything they wanted for dinner. I didn't care if they wanted dessert first. They could, and I would give them whatever they wanted. And so that may have taken the edge off. And you know what? My kids didn't grow up going to restaurants like the kids today go. And they're used to opening up a menu and choosing what they want. We ate at home.
It's funny you should say that because there was a rule that I had to abide by when I was a kid. And it's funny that today as an adult, I still think about it whenever we go out to eat for dinner, and my children, I try to tell them as well, which is I was not allowed to order something from the menu if it was something that I could make and eat at home. So if I ordered eggs, for example, at a restaurant, that was like a big no-no. Noodles, now you can get noodles at home. Tuna fish sandwich, you can get at home. If we're going out to eat, you have to order something that you because you appreciate what it is, what you can get at home. If we could eat that at home, so then Shalom Ali, so we should have stayed at home.
Yeah, so I do the opposite of that too. We like something at a restaurant and then I figure out how to make it at home. So, right? Like flatbreads are on our weekly menu.
It's a little cheap. It's a little cheaper than going, your prices are a little bit better.
Shelley's grandmother ran an a la carte restaurant in a 24-inch stovetop.
Yeah.
Really?
I did not. And when my son was at a certain age, he complained about every meal. So what I did was one night, everybody got served except for Michael. And he looked at me and he looked at himself. Where's my dinner? I said, you don't like the dinners here. He never complained again. He ate what we ate.
Oh my gosh, that doesn't ever happen.
Sorry, you complained, you didn't like it.
That's
It's too hot,
okay.
it's cold, it's
Shelley had a
this.
plate of spaghetti that went over her head also, that her mother
Food
did
is all the
not.
guy didn't like food. Yeah.
So let's actually take this and transition it into a little bit of a different direction if we can. I think that this might be a great way to just like bridge between this awesome concept and this conversation, and then figure out how we can draw some inspiration from our parsha and just from. All right, ready? So here's the thought. Here's the thought. I'm reading a book right now that I mentioned last week, and the name of the book is called Extreme Ownership. It was written by 2 Navy SEALs that were a band of brothers, and they were on, did a number of tours of duty in Afghanistan, Iraq, and it describes the amphitheater of war, but it really describes something that's huge to personalities and what they do now in their professional civilian life, which is, give counsel and guidance and organizational institutional direction to leadership and leadership training. And the basic premise of the book is the idea that there's no such thing as bad teams. There's only bad leaders. And conversely, there's no such thing as a good team. There's only a good leader. It's all about the leader. Extreme ownership means that you can give a million excuses from today till tomorrow as to why those subordinates on your team didn't show up. They didn't do their jobs. They were, derelict and delinquent and whatever it is. And you could decide that the peril of the company is dependent on, and that's who they work with. They actually work with synagogues and churches and all other types of houses of worship, in addition to, institutions, etc. But the idea is it can fall to the peril of those subordinates, or the team leader is the one who has extreme ownership. It's me. I failed to communicate, or I failed to, express the expectations. It's the idea, the notion that there's no bad teams, there's only bad leaders. And I actually, as a youngster growing up, loving sports and, still today following with my kids a little bit, whenever there's a team that doesn't make the playoffs, the team doesn't underperform. So the leader, the team, the captain or the manager, the coach gets fired. It's like they're not playing, they're not throwing the ball, they're not dunking the basketball, they're making the strategy. Are they ultimately held responsible? The answer is yes. The idea is what they proffer is the idea that there's leadership. Leadership is all about, taking extreme ownership, not just ownership, but extreme ownership. And I think that the way it's like a section between, and the bond and the link and the bridge between what we're starting with and where we want to go with this is that whether you're a mom who makes multiple dinners, or you're a mom that decides that one dinner is the dinner that we're going to go with, it's all about chinuch habanim v'habanos. It's about how you educate your children. What is the leadership teaching? You can teach probably anything, really, if you take extreme ownership for what it is. And that's really true about not only about motherhood and fatherhood and community and any type of leadership in organizations, institutions, but it's also true of biblical personalities as well. I mean, the great debate in the first Rashi and Chumash in Parshas Noach is Ish Tzaddik. He was a tzaddik b'dorosav. He was a tzaddik, a righteous one of his generation. And the question, of course, is, what does it mean of his generation? Was he compared to Avram Avinu? Because if he would have lived in the same generation of Avram Avinu, he wouldn't have held a candle to Avram Avinu. And if he would have, and the fact that he's in a standalone environment and in a generation of misfits. So look, of course he's a tzaddik, of course he's righteous. You take responsibility. He's held responsible for, as I learned in my Chumash class together with some of you, the fact that he had a commandment and he was divinely, cajoled to take action, so it seemed, but he chose to just follow the precept of the Almighty's command. Extreme ownership. Ownership means, what does the leader say? What does the leader do? How does the leader demand of their compatriots? It's true of motherhood. It's true of your children, how you're raising children. It's not just that you're going to give a dinner and the dinner is going to be the singular only choice. It's that as the leader, you're teaching the lesson of one dinner. You're teaching the lesson of multiple choices. If the discipline was, as one of you shared, that your mother had multiple dinners that they made. It's a lesson of, maybe it's appreciation, maybe it's sensitivity, maybe it's special occasions like a birthday, maybe it's learning how to be satisfied with whatever I give you. It's not about the actual hefts of the item, but it's the person who gives the item. It's noting the purpose of what food is, and while it's true that we derive pleasure from food, it's also to understand what the food really does. It provides engine and the necessary for a person to get from point A to point B. It's the idea of extreme ownership. And that is that leadership, it starts from the top, and everything that comes after that there's no one else is to blame besides the leader, period, hard stop. What do you think about that? I know one of you, Barbara, mentioned used it many times in your professional life and gave it to a few managers. I think it's true for families, true. So I agree with that. Fabulous. You can really use it for institutions and organizations. And really for families, you take ownership. Parents have to take ownership. Children have to follow the ways of their parents. I've spoken to so many parents who sometimes they fall short. They blame this, they blame the school, they blame the friends, they blame the camp. They figure out this, they figure out that. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility. These are your children. These are your offspring. You have an obligation to teach the difference between what's right and wrong. And one of the examples is what's served for dinner. One of the examples is how you organize and your time and how you craft what's significant. One of the examples is, does daddy have a chavrusa at night to go to the base medrash? Does mommy involve herself also in study of Torah and harbatzas of Torah and things of that sort? It starts from the top. What do you think of that? I know, Barbara, you shared that you've used it many times. Anybody else, you agree with that? What do you think? What are your thoughts? Comments. No bad teams, only bad leaders. No good teams, just good leaders. So many different examples cited of where, in fact, that research is true. What do you say, Jen?
I think it definitely starts from the top. Definitely the leader sets the tone, the attitude. However, whatever the leader feels about the performance of the team is going to affect the way the team performs. If I have a negative attitude about something going on in the house, for sure, that's going to affect everybody's performance in the house. If I come into something positive and excited, that for sure, makes more of a chance that everyone's going to be more excited and perform better in the house. Absolutely.
How's that tied to the dinners? Do you think that's true of like dinners and taking control and teaching a lesson? And is it organic or is it spoken out? Is it articulated? Is it demanded of children to who they whine, they fetch, they cry, they scream, they complain? You tell them that, no, this is a lesson. This is a limud. This is something. It starts from the top. And if you equivocate and if you navigate compromise, obviously there are times you have to navigate compromise. Question is, if you equivocate compromise constantly, so what messaging are we teaching our children? What are the net result reaction realities as they follow?
Oh my. I mean, I'll tell you what I do, but don't scream at me.
Everyone's muted. So
I make a dinner and a healthy dinner, and we make everyone try it. Everyone has to try it. Even if it's salmon, even if it's chana or easy. Everyone has to try it, but if you don't care for it, after you've tried it, you can help yourself to something that I don't want to hear about, I don't want to know about, I don't want to be involved in it, I don't want to turn on the toaster, and I don't want to pour your milk. You can go help yourself to either like toast or cereal. Those are the two basics that they can fall back on. What does that teach the children? I think that they see what it means to have a proper meal at a home and a family dinner. Like Linda said, we all sit around and have dinner together. But I feel like they see that I'm sensitive to like that some people don't like certain things, and as long as they don't make a big stink about it and make it like I'm throwing a fit because I don't like dinner tonight, and they just quietly go get themselves a bowl of cereal and I don't have to hear about it, then I think it's okay.
Okay.
Oh, can I say, I'm going to say something. I think what I got out of the book was that the leaders help create the team, and that the team has the same responsibility to each other and to their leader, so that it's not so much about what you bring as the leader, other than you're responsible for everyone, but it's how you create that great team. And I think that that's the same idea with families. You want your children not to just follow everything you want. You want to have them have that sense of responsibility with you, and that they actually gain something from that. That's the point. Like great teams, they're great because they take responsibility for each other. And if somebody's failing, they back them up. They don't criticize them because you're part of that team.
Love that.
And that team is strengthened by the leader. It's interesting, actually.
Yes.
Barbara, the example that was repeated over and again, actually, is that there were two boats that were part of the Buds Navy SEAL training in off the coast of San Diego, right? If you remember that. And there were two very, very rigorous, activities.
Yes.
Navy SEAL, and there were two boats that were competing amongst a few others. One was boat one that was like finishing repeatedly in first place and was doing very, very well. And the second boat in this comparison was the one that was finishing, dead last over and over. And of course, they were at the mercy of these instructors who were barking at them to get wet and sandy and to have further, strengthening and discipline and so on and so forth. So they decided that instead of disciplining this second boat that was seeming to be perpetually, at the back of the heat, what they did, if you remember, is that they didn't transfer any team. They didn't like make any trades amongst the teammates. They actually just transferred the leaders. They switched spots. The leader of the boat that was performing top became the leader of the boat that was performing last. And the leader of the boat that was performing last went to become the leader of the boat that was performing first. And lo and behold, they found that the boat that was continually finishing in dead last now not only was competing for first, but multiple times was victorious. And they didn't understand, the teammates, like what that meant. And it's exactly what you're saying, is that ultimately it's the teammates that the team players that perform, that make it happen. But what he explains is that the energy that's created from the top, that there's going to be, you're going to face confrontation. You're going to face, certain obstacles. There's going to be challenges. You're thrown overboard in the proverbial and the real sense. And you're going to have to work with other people, and there's going to be criticizing of each other that you're going to feel is going to be natural. But the energy of positivity and the goal-mindedness and the forward thinking that the leader continues to focus the group and the team on is what allows there to be the positivity that reaches the goal, despite what seem to be the obstacles. And it's interesting that the Navy SEAL that was the boat captain of both winning teams went on to be a champion, patriot and SEAL leader, and obviously fought in a number of wars and, in campaigns defending, American interests and interests around the world. And the other one actually didn't make it, because what they understood is that here you're talking about SEAL training, the amount of effort and time didn't make it, because if you as an extreme leader with ownership cannot create a positivity, an energy, whether it's your house, whether it's your business, whether it's your shul, whether it's your anything, then what happens as a result, it's not just that the leader's bad, but the teammates become bad, because at the end of the day, even though the theory is that no bad teams, only bad leaders, is that because of the negative energy provided by the leader, that this synergy that was meant to coexist amongst each other is just not able to happen. It just doesn't happen. And that's what's necessary in the world of discipline. That's what's necessary in the world of rules and regulations, obligations. We see this is happening all around the world. Those who live with rules and function under the auspices of law, live a certain way, and those who don't, there's a lawlessness, and there's a rebelliousness, and there's a rioting, and there's a hefkerus, as we like to say.
So here's my question. But before my question, I just want to say that Barbara, who's on the call, is our new neighbor. She lives down the block from us. I don't think anyone had the chance to meet her yet, but we're so happy that you joined us tonight.
And welcome to our community.
Welcome to our community. And my question now is, so where does that leave Noach in this whole story? Because he is a tzaddik, but what makes him a tzaddik? He's definitely not going to be going down. He's not known as the leader. So what makes him a tzaddik?
So that's the doozy of the question of the whole night. Like, if that's true, like, what is it? Like, how does he personify righteousness, if in fact all this that went down? So I'm just going to share with you a little bit what I shared a little bit earlier today, because I think it's super, super powerful, and it's super, compelling. It's a massive observation and an incredible conversation. Unbelievable observation, unbelievable conversation. Here we go. All of us focus our attention, if we are mindful of the parsha, we think about Noach and his wife and his children and his sons, his daughters-in-law, them going into the teva 2 by 2, all of the animals go in. We focus all of our attention going into the teva, going into the ark, and the tumultuousness, the turbulence, the rains, the decimation of the whole world. But we don't focus enough so much about them say min hateva, to leave the ark. What happens when they left the Aron? We know that there was a debasing, there was a drinking, there was like a new circumstance. But I'm talking about the actual moment when that door was plunked open. Chazal actually tell us that when it was dry land right away, he didn't come out right away. And there's a lot of different commentary. Went through it a little bit this morning. I won't bore you with all that right now. So why he didn't come out right away? Why didn't he come out right away? But imagine in that moment, when that precipice, when that door was opened, like what was his reaction? Like what would he have thought?
Scary.
It's imagine, right? It's actually even somewhat relatable if you think about it. Obviously not to the same extent, but if you think about it, imagine you're in bidud. Imagine you're in quarantine.
Isolation.
Imagine you're in isolation, and there's like months of isolation, and you're literally just looking at the same four walls, and it's turbulent outside, and it's outrageously, raging outside. And then you have an opportunity to then once again, like to re-engage, re-enter, rematriculate into the world. Like, well, what's that first moment like? Do you guys remember, the first time you went into the supermarket after you had spent so many months away from the supermarket, the first time you walked into the shul, first time you went into somebody's house, the first time you engaged with somebody, like there was like you were ambivalent a little bit. There was probably some awkwardness. There was probably a little bit of shock. Yes. Imagine what Noach's reaction was when he opened that door. Like, stop if you think about it. It's good, like Shabbos table conversation. What was that moment like? So I'll just tell you, the Zohar Kodesh says something so unbelievable, remarkable. Here's the observation and then the conversation. What's the observation? Noach, he comes out of the teva and he like falls to his knees. He literally crumbles to his knees. He's brought to his knees. Like the metaphor and similarity, it's like actually riveting. The world has been brought to its knees, right? Noach, the Zohar Kodesh says that he was brought to his knees and he was wailing, sobbing, crying. What happened here? What in the world is going on here? He's crying out to the Ribbonu Shalom. Ma Sita, what did you do here? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like this beautiful world that you created in last week's Parsha, Parshas Bereshis, Bar Elokim Eitz Hashemayim V'Haaretz. There was barren, it was empty, and you made this beautiful world. And then you destroyed it. And he was like sobbing, like, what happened to this world? What happened? And at the same time, the Zohar Kodesh says that with his tears, as Noach was saying to him, how, Ribbonu Shalom, did you let this happen? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Noach, how did you let this happen? How could you let this happen? What do you mean, how could I let this happen? What does it mean, how could I let this happen? He says, I commanded you to build the teva. But let me explain to you the definition of what it means to be a tzaddik. Being a tzaddik, it doesn't mean that you are just being told the accolades, right, and the title of what I think of you. What I think of you is just, hey, he's a tzaddik and she's righteous. You're a tzaddik. You know what Rav Nachman Breslov says? If you want to be a little bit Hasidus for just a moment, you want to be Hasidish. I know, Jerry, you want to be Hasidish with me a little bit tonight, right? You want to be Hasidish a little. You know what the Rav Nachman Breslov says? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling him, you are a tzaddik, as Jen said, right? The word tzaddik describing a person, the Rebbe does not do that haphazardly. There's Yosef a tzaddik, there's Noach who's tzaddik, righteous tzaddik. Even Moshe Rabbeinu is not referred to as a tzaddik. He's referred to as an Isha Elokim, but he's not referred to as a tzaddik. What was the Rebbe saying? Not just giving you a surname, not just giving you a master's degree or a PhD or a title. This is what the Rebbe was saying. You know what it means to be a tzaddik? A tzaddik means that you have enormous potential to be mashpia, to influence, to inspire other people because you're a tzaddik. It says Rav Nachman Breslov that Noach, he was looking at all of the wicked people and he said, somebody's going to influence somebody here. If we interact with each other, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to influence me or I'm going to influence you. Somebody's going to influence somebody. So there's two choices here. Either I'm going to go for it and roll the dice, or I'm going to keep to myself. And he says, you know what? I'm not going to roll the dice. There are people that they choose. They're not going to roll the dice. They're not going to engage the world. They're not going to engage people that are not like them. If somebody's not as religious or somebody's not as sensitive, somebody's not as charitable, somebody's not as knowledgeable, it's not my thing. You know why? Because maybe you know what's going to happen? If I engage the world, maybe the world is going to influence me. That's not the definition of a tzaddik. A tzaddik, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what it means to be a tzaddik? Real righteousness means that you have the ability to see the nekuda, the essence of the tov, the good in every person. Righteousness means that even though there is a person who presents wickedness, even the wicked generation for which Noach was living and had it to be destroyed, if you, says the Kadosh Baruch Hu, if you would have just chosen to see your righteousness as the ability to see the good, and even if it's a nekuda, small little dot, a pimple of something that's good, then you know what would have happened? maybe humanity would have been saved. Maybe the world would not have had to have been destroyed. Maybe the chaos would not have had to have happened. Maybe the upheaval would have been subsided. Maybe it would have stopped. So the answer is what tzaddik is meant to mean. It's not just eyes. We throw these words around. Eyes at tzaddik. He's a tzaddik yisrael olam. You know what it means when I'm telling you you're a tzaddik? It means that I think you have incredible koyach. And when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying you're tzaddik b'dayraisa, you're righteous in this generation, you can stop this mubble from happening. You can stop these wayward and rebellious people from being wayward and rebellious. And by not trying, so in a certain sense, there's a certain responsibility that you bear. And that's huge. And I know that that's far easier said than done. One final thought, right?
He wasn't tzaddik, or he had the potential to be a tzaddik?
So he was a tzaddik b'dayraisa. So good question. That's a doozy, of course. That's a doozy. He had the potential to be even greater of a tzaddik. There's tzaddik yisod olam, there's tzaddik. Maybe this was part of what he ultimately becomes debased. Again, don't forget, how does he start? Tzaddik b'dayraisa, that's not how the parsha ends. The parsha does not refer to him as a tzaddik. Anybody know how the parsha ends describing him? Ding, 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 extra piece of potato kugel. What? He's drunk, right? But the Torah says he starts as an ish, and he's a layman. He's a layman. That's right, as a layman, or literally, it's called an ish ha'adama. He's a man of the earth. He's just a plain person. Imagine you're on this righteous level. You are this superiorly described person, and now you're just a regular. But you know what? Because you're a tzaddik b'dayraisa, that's right. But you know what happens as a result of you emerging? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how could you have let this happen? We have to take responsibility for the world that we live in. We have to take responsibility to the best we can. We're not going to be able to change everybody, but we got to fight the fight and battle the battle. We got to do everything we can and trust the Ribono Shalom and trust the Torah that's inside us, trust the tefillah that's inside us, not feel that we have not been inoculated with the koyach HaTorah, the power and the ruchnius that's elokus, that's the neshama tahira, that's a shtuk elokus, that is godliness that's within each and every one of us. And that is the power. And here's the tool. Here's the secret. Ready? What's the secret? The Chasam Sofer says something so unbelievable. The Mishnah tells us, Hevidan is kol adam l'chavschus. Most people know what this Mishnah means. You should judge everybody favorably. What's the word there? I'm sorry. I invite everybody Monday nights to learn with my beloved brother Uri Udowitz, who learns Pirkei Avos Monday nights. It's a great share. If you have yet to tune into it, please don't miss that Monday nights at 8 o'clock. The Mishnah says, Hevidan is kol adam l'chavschus, to judge everybody favorably. That sounds like a kumbaya Mishnah, right? Judge everybody favorably. Achdus, let's sing Achenu. Says the Chasam Sofer, you know what it means? Hevidan is kol ha'adam. If you judge the all of the person, you're going to come l'chavschus. You're going to come to judge them favorably. You know why? Because we're very complicated. We're compounded. We're complex. There's got to be a little bit of good to everybody. Maybe they're 97% bad, but there's 3% good. If you're a tzaddik, you know what a tzaddik does? The tzaddik finds the little bit of good. The nekuda taiva, says Nachman Breslov. The Breslovers are dancing and singing. They're looking for it, right? If you're besimcha tamid, right? Leos besimcha tamid. If you're looking for the good, the one little redeeming attribute, you're a manuvel in shalom bayis. You're a manuvel in chesed. You're a manuvel in Torah. But Tomchei Shabbos, maybe you're a tzaddik in this, or maybe you're sensitive to the elderly. Who knows what the one redeeming attribute? That redeeming component of you is if you're heavy down as kol ha'adam. If you take in the totality, how many things about us are not becoming, or not where they should be, are shortcoming, are failings, but there are good things about us.
You're supposed to judge the sin, but not judge the sinner. Because the sinner has so many more parts of him than just the one sin that you might have seen.
Right. And that's the idea of, like, if you sign a lifetime contract, like Noach saw the world as very black and white, either a tzaddik or you're a Russia. And if it's a lifetime contract and you cannot switch teams ever, so he comes out of the table, he's like, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how could you do this? This is only up to you. You and only you have the ability to change this. You and only you. So how could you do this? Answer is that he didn't subscribe to the possibility of there's a chance for people to change. You don't have to always be in the camp of rishus, of wickedness. Hevidan is kol ha'adam, then it's the chavschos. If you're able to use and utilize the concept of righteousness and what tzaddik and tzidkis really means, so then you can really make a change in your generation. You can create the upheaval that is impending, and you can bring it to a screeching halt. Every person can bring this upheaval to a screeching halt.
That's why you, Rabbi, are a tzaddik and Jennifer's our tzaddikus.
Last night in our women's class, we actually touched upon a tzaddik, and I see in the next chapter in the book that we're learning together, it's about what is a tzaddik. So I'm really excited to read it. But it was comparing in the Sefer that the tzaddik is like Shabbos and like Yerushalayim. He compares the three things together because all of those things, Shabbos, Jerusalem, and the righteous person, are meant to do one thing, which is connect this world to a higher world, bring kedusha, bring holiness, bring spirituality into the world. So the tzaddik is meant to connect me and you to Hashem.
Right.
Yerushalayim is meant to connect us to Hashem. Shabbos is meant to sit back on Shabbos and you remember Hashem runs the world. There is, it's not all just the fruit of my labor. There's a Hashem guarding. So yeah. So then in that sense, are you allowed to say that like he fell short, or
maybe we could say that he could have done better? And I think that's bring it back to this idea. It's no bad teams, only bad leaders. And imagine if you apply that to the generation of Noach, like they were a bad team, but maybe it was a din in the leadership. I mean, I don't know how to say that any differently. Yes, dear
Rabbi, should I go there, Rabbi?
Yes. Go there.
Hashem gives you a directive and you follow his directive. Look what happened to Moses when he was given directives. Every time he went against something, he was punished for it. He didn't go into Israel. His name was obliterated from the Torah, on and on. So how can you say that Noah had to stand up and do something different?
Excellent question. It's a great question.
Well, Moshe always stood for his team, though. He was always
But when he questioned Hashem's directive, don't hit the rock, he hit the rock. When he did that, he was punished for it. So I have a problem that you separate Noah for not doing something that he should have done against what Hashem asked him to do. And to me, it's a little murky.
Let's play it out. It's a great question. Let's play it out. What would have happened if Noah would have decided, you know what? Thank you for that commandment. I'm going to build the ark because you told me to do it. But I'm going to go out. I'm going to get a bima, and I'm going to start giving drushes. I'm going to try to get people back. I'm going to go out and try to see the best of them, and I'm going to go out and do it. Would he have been going against the divine command? Like, what happens if he would have actually brought everybody back? Would that have been against the divine command? Because you're asking an amazing question, and the answer, I believe, is in a nuance. And the nuance is, I'll give you like a halachic answer. A halachic answer is, whether or not, Nuri knows this so well, is like whether or not you announce Mashiv Haruach HaMurid Geshem, or whether you announce V'sein Talamata Livracha on Pesach and on Shmini Atzeres. Is there a hachraza? Is there an announcement? Do you announce it? And the distinction is whether or not we have an obligation to announce people to continue to pray, to daven for something, or to stop davening. That's a little bit of a technicality. What would have happened? What do you think if he would have been successful? He would have done what the rabbis chastised him for not doing, and what would he have done had he done it? What would he have been called then? Would he have been in violation? Would he have been derelict of the Rebbetzin and the will of God? See, I think he wouldn't have. I think he would have been, there's tzaddik, there's the fulfillment of tzaddik, and there's like ish ha'elokim, there's like a godliness. Because I think that when it is that there's a challenging of the directive of God, is it self-serving? Is it for what is the Ratzon Hashem? What will bring what we call Kvod Shemayim? What is going to bring honor to the Almighty? And I believe that if he would have made it his business, I mean, who am I to say? If he would have made it his business to bring all the people back, that would have changed humanity's perspective of Kvod Shemayim, of godliness in the world. It was not a world that would be any longer bereft of civilization and humanity and Torah and mitzvahs and the Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Whereas in the case of don't forget the difference between speaking to the rock and hitting the rock, again, there's a lot of different commentaries on that, but one of them is that he was angry, is he was upset with the people, that they were rebels, and how long have you been rebels? And he was like going to show them in a certain way. So, and even when he was going against the divine command, you know, in the aftermath of the sin of the golden calf. God says, Moshe, stand aside. I'm going to wipe out those people. We're going to start over with you. So he says, no, Ribono Shel Olam. Like, I'm not going to do anything yet, but maybe, just maybe, it's not good for you. It's not kavod shamayim for you. What are the people of the world going to say about you? I'm not interested in me. I'm interested in you. I care about what you want. What is Avram Avinu and Parshas Lech Lecha, Parshas Vayera? We'll see when he's arguing on behalf of Sodom and Amorah. We're talking about, right, the awful institution and the community of the Sodomites, and they deserve to be destroyed. The angels that come. What does Avram Avinu say? If there's 40 righteous people, maybe there's 35 righteous people, maybe there's 30. He's arguing for the righteous people. He's arguing not to do something that's opposite the will of God, but it's in concert with the will of God. And that's where Bechiras Chavshis, that's where free will comes in. We were not created to be robots. We were created to be ones who are free thinking and we're going to choose. We were a chosen nation. We became a choosing nation. And that is very, very often fraught with huge consequences of negativity, of falling into the abyss. Because after all, if you choose the wrong way, then it's very bad. But a choosing nation, if you can choose correctly, and you can choose the Ribono Shel Olam, you choose what the will of God is and choose Ratzon Hashem, there's nothing greater. We're not robots, and we are able to use our minds. We can ask questions, we can challenge, we could try to search, we could try to uncover and discover what the truth is, what Das Torah tells us. But once that's what it is what it is. And that's at the end game. If he never would have built the ark, then I would agree with you that would have been not right, because he was commanded to build the ark. But would he have given it a chance? What can I do that there's more kavod shamayim? Does a Chabadnik have to stand at the corner and say, did you put on your tefillin? Did you put on your tefillin? He's not obligated in doing that. He's not. He's obligated himself to put on his tefillin. But I'm hungry for other people to be able to find their purpose. Like Jen said, I am Yerushalayim. I am the tzaddik. I am the connector. When I go to Yerushalayim, I feel connected. When I go to Saskatchewan, I don't feel connected. Sorry if anybody's from Saskatchewan. But if you go to Yerushalayim, you feel connected. Mom, you like that? If you go, you feel connected, right? If you're Ladera Heights, you feel connected. If you feel you're in Yerushalayim, you're connected. As a tzaddik, you feel connected. So as a leader, which is where it all starts, it's Moshe and it's Noach, and it's all throughout the generations. And the goal is just to be as connected as we possibly can. And when we can do that, that's the tzaddik, that's the righteousness. That's what it means, no bad teams, only bad leaders. To be a good leader, look at that, look at that, look at that. Only only good leaders. And if we can lead ourselves and lead our families and lead our communities and lead Klal Yisrael and lead humanity and just, we love Appa, right? If we saw that, there he is, live and in the flesh. We love him. So if we can do that, then what we do is we bring kavod shamayim. We bring honor to the Almighty. That doesn't mean that your question is great. That doesn't mean that that's necessarily the easiest answer or the only answer. As my Rebbe would often say, the question is stronger than the answer. So I love that question. To keep asking your amazing questions, because it's all part of your growth and our growth, and it really inspires and uplifts me and uplifts us all. So Yasher Koach to that.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Coming to our Shabbos table. This was so fun.
And thank you for sharing and for growing with us, learning with us. And again, so wonderful to see everybody. I want a special shout out to beloved Chef Meir. Meir, just seeing your face radiates goodness and the shine of just bright love and happiness. So we love you. We miss you. We're thinking of you. And we are all so, so connected.
Is that Chana Tehillah in the background?
Yeah, Chana Tehillah, come say hi.
Where is Chana Tehillah?
She's right next to my mom. Where's Grandma?
Where's that?
In Fairlawn, New Jersey.
Oh, you're in New Jersey? New Jersey.
Yeah.
Really?
In your neck of the woods.
Jerry, I love you for knowing Chana Tehillah. That's like a different
how
level.
do you know her real
That's
name?
a different madrega. That's like,
hi, Mommy.
I can't even think you got that. Tzvagan all these.
Yeah. And Nechama wants to say hi too. Hi. Nechama, do you like noodles for dinner or chicken for dinner?
Chicken.
Chicken, yeah, chicken, yeah.
Okay.
Noodles, I love that, noodle mon.
Well,
Next week, same bad time, same bad channel. Wish everybody a wonderful evening, a happy, a holy, a special, a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh to you all. Wonderful to see you, our sponsors. Wishing everybody a wonderful night.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Linda. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
Shabbos, good Shabbos.